while you are working, you need to understand, while all of this is happening day to day, you need to understand two important things. Final 10 minutes of the session. Okay, this is also very important things. Two important things. How to manage code. And the next important thing is how to work with environments. Environments is where you do the testing. Okay, there could be multiple environments, Docker based environments. Okay, plus there could be dev environments, QA environments, stage environments. Okay, pre-prod at times people have maybe post-prod. I'll talk something about that also. Next prod. Different kind of environments could be there depending upon the need. Okay, and all these environments could be in AWS, Azure, or wherever, GCP, or on premises. On premises is like you have your own servers being operated somewhere, not on these cloud systems, somewhere else. Next, how to manage the code. This is how your entire code management cycle will come with, let's say, Git or SVN or clear case or something. In Git, there are multiple ways of doing it. GitHub, Bitbucket, and yes, they might have some other ways of doing it also. Okay. Now the point is, these two are going to be part of your daily life when you are working. You need to have a very clear understanding from your local machine when you code, how you work with these repositories. Like, guys, there are so many people. The target for 2 weeks is all of this work should be finished in 2 weeks of time by so many people. Now, all that work needs to be properly managed in code so that by the end of 2 weeks, we can give one finished work. There is going to be finally one piece of, let's say, some code, and that code will be compiled, built, and given for production launch. So that means the coding done by the full team for the 2 weeks for so many features, it all needs to be merged somewhere, and it all needs to be constantly kept on testing properly. Then only it can be given as one shot launch to production. Did you understand this statement? This is important. Do you understand this last statement? I'll repeat it once more because it is important to understand. ठीक है, एक और बार repeat करते हैं. ठीक है, focus here properly. This is important. Okay, there are so many people working. There are so many features to work on. Okay, and for every feature there is lot of activities to be done. Bugs might come that needs to be handled, but as an end result, everything has to be merged together in one place, and that single place has to be tested on the Q environment, on the stage environment, and then in the closed prod, and then it goes to prod. So that means it needs very close coordination between everything. It's not as simple as it looks. There is a lot of things involved in this journey. Okay? And that is where these softwares are there, ways of working. So you need to understand, as a developer, how will you be doing this at your job? And when you say that you have worked in some real-time companies or done some internship somewhere, they expect that you know all of these things, whatever we are discussing today, because this is how work happens in real time. If you say you are a fresher, having this knowledge is going to be like, wow, kahan se pata chala? And then you can sell yourself in interview. Ki my friends, I discussed them with, a lot with them, and they are working in industry. They told me, and I'm really curious and excited to work. You can sell this knowledge in interview very confidently, even if you are a fresher. But when you are saying you have done internship, when you are saying have done some work experience from somewhere, in such cases, this knowledge is expected that you should definitely know. And that is where you have to acquire, because there is a big difference between people who know how to work in IT versus those who not. Because they might be lost ke kya karna hai, but with this knowledge, they know how things should happen. Okay? Okay, fine. Now, we have 6 minutes officially for the call to end. Okay, I wanted to launch this, a very quick demo of 15 minutes, okay, which is around Git and how the code will be managed. maybe around 15 to 20 kind of. Okay, so just comment it in the chat. Are you guys ready to stretch till 10:15 today? It is the last day. This is important topic. I wanted to share it with you. एक बार बोलो 10:15 तक. Who are ready? Okay, nice, nice, nice. There are many people coming in. Okay, very good, very good, very good. Chalo, this is important topic. That's where I want to stick with this a bit. Okay, and this is going to be in recorded. You can watch the session again. It will become really very valuable. And every developer needs to have this knowledge. Okay, tester who works on automation should have this knowledge. Why? Because the automation related code that you write should also go to Git. Okay, next, everybody on the DevOps, you write code as an infrastructure as a service or infrastructure as a code that will also be sometimes committed to this kind of repository. So you need to understand this Git branching and all of these things. So this topic right now, what we are touching for next 15-20 minutes is going to be really very crucial for every project. And that knowledge is really required even as a beginner. Day one से ये शुरू हो जाता है IT में. ठीक है? Okay, fine. Chalo, let's understand. It's not okay. It might not get that straightforward, but still I will try to make it as simple as possible. But once you get the understanding, it will start making sense to you a lot. Okay, so if you are losing something in between, don't just stop there, give up there. I want you to further think and really try to catch up with the pace. I will try to keep repeating a few things again and again so that we can learn everybody together. Okay, okay, fine. Now, how the code happened. Now let's say you are in sprint. Some work needs to be happening. Okay, now the point is, we said so many people, so many features, and everything has to be gone at one single place. How it will happen? Okay, okay, first let's take a very basic case. A new repository needs to be created. Okay, now you need to understand how this work really happens, how this code management works. The entire project code is going to be available in cloud. Okay, with these kind of Git, okay, Bitbucket, or some kind of central software. These are like central servers where the final code is going to be available. Okay, and this code is going to be worked by different developers. Developer D1, D2, D3, D4. These people, what they do is, now there are some set of activities. It's simple. You take the code from the central place. Now, just imagine. I'll take some examples so that it becomes more clear. Now, let's say there is a class called as a.java, which might have some method M1. Okay. Now, the point is, when there are so many developers working, D1, D2, and let's say D3, the first step is they should work always on top of the latest code. So which is this one, a.java. Now let's say if there are three people working on three set of features where they have to edit the same a.java file, they are not going to edit in the central place. They are working in their local machines. This is available in some other place, not in their laptops also, somewhere else. Now what they do is they take the current copy of a.java into their local machine. Everybody does that. Now everybody will have the same kind of method, which is like this. This guy also gets it. This guy also gets it. Let's say this guy also gets it. Everybody gets the same kind of initial method. Okay. Now, once this is available, now let's say these people will start working on their feature, and then maybe this developer might write a code, let's say XYZ. It's a different method for achieving some business logic. This person might start writing a method PQR, which is a different logic altogether. And this person might just simply write M2 method, which is a different logic altogether. Now, what we are saying is, when the 2 weeks are supposed to be completed, then there has to be one file a.java which should have everything. Finally, after all the activities of 2 weeks, there has to be one a.java which should have this code, plus this code, and plus the next code as well. This is what I was initially trying. Just now we explained with a diagram. This is the final version of a.java which is expected after 2 weeks of cycle. And everybody does their own testing. Finally, once the work is done, they finally commit it as well. They put it back here. And once it is put back, everybody tries to put, and then there is the central copy. And you know what? The testers are very sensible people. They will say, okay, whatever is going to go to production, we want to test accordingly. So tester will always say, by wherever the code is merged properly, we will test only in that. So tester is not going to spend time doing your individual feature testing in your local places wherever you're doing. Tester says you put the code somewhere, and from central environment, we will be starting with your testing. This is where tester will say, okay, bhai, we want to test it only on central environment. Otherwise, we are not going to do the testing. Like this kind of problems might come. Now, this is what is required to be done. And now it is where it gets a bit interesting how to do all these things. Okay. Now, step by step, let's start understanding. Now, let's say this a.java is part of some project or folder in versioning terminology. It is called as a repository. Okay. There is going to be some keep in looking, okay, and processing. I'm showing you one way bit bucket. It is a code repository. It is built on top of Git itself. Okay. Here I'm going to project section. Now let's say I create an empty project. Just keep observing. Okay, so something, just a way of organizing. Let's say August TT for career transformation. It's a private project. Make sure it has to be a private, because if you're not, client data cannot be in public. It has to be a private repo. You first create a project, August CT. Now in this project, you can keep creating repositories. Either you can click on this create repository, or simply from here you can create repositories. Repository is nothing but where your code will be finally organized. Okay, when you create multiple microservices, every microservice is a separate repository. You choose, okay, this repository I want to create in August CT. What is the name of the repository? Okay, let's say my test application. And then you start creating a repository. Repository is a blank initial version of copy. Now, this is the central place that we are talking about in this diagram when we touched it. Right now, we are all here. We created a folder called as my test application, which is available at a central place. Developer machine pe nothing is happening right now. This is all happening on a browser in the cloud. Okay, it's not in the developer machine. Abhi tak developer has not even started working, but there is a project created where they are supposed to work. Okay? Now, what generally happens is people should not edit or do anything directly in the repository. They are expected, thoda sa be with me here, this is critical. They need to take this space, whatever this repository is, into their local machine, then work in the local machine, and whatever changes they do, they have to put it back into this place. Okay, simple step. Right now, everything is available in the central place. They have to take it into the local machine, make the modifications, then put it back. Now, how it is going to happen? Let's say one senior comes. He says, oh, this is a full, fresh, blank repository, let me put the initial code for you, which is the package structure, Maven dependencies, if you know Java, Maven related libraries. Okay, so whatever, every project will have some base package and all those things. Now, every developer is not going to add those dependencies. It is one-time work, right? So one senior of your team might just say, oh, let me take care of this initial thing for you. Till the time rest of the developers will wait till he commits something initial. Now, how is he going to do? There is a simple option called as clone. Okay, so using this, where is the diagram? There is an operation here, clone. By that, you can take remote related project into your local. There is also something called as checkout. Okay, and then there is something called as pull and fetch. These are some commands of getting the data from this central repository to their local machines. Okay, just know it. इसका more theoretical definitions you can get it from ChatGPT, internet somewhere. Okay, now how exactly it needs to be done? He will say this clone option is there. Now when you click on the clone, देखो, working with Git is two things. One is commands. If you learn all the commands, you can work with Git properly. And there are all these commands to do these activities, which I just now mentioned. Key, clone, checkout. Like there will be some commands, Git clone, okay, Git checkout, and then you have to put what you want to check out, in which folder you want to check out, Git pull, Git fetch. Simple, straightforward commands are there. But if you don't want to use commands because you are a beginner, you don't remember all those things, then there is a simple tool created, okay, by Atlassian company itself called as Source Tree, and they have made it available here. You can freely download it. It's a free tool, which is a GUI tool, graphical interface to work with repositories. Using Source Tree, you can even work with GitHub related repositories also. Similar things are going to happen there as well. Okay? Now, how exactly? I'm just clicking clone in Source Tree. Now, our aim is from this cloud, the project folder should come into my local machine. This is what we are trying to do. Okay? I clicked clone in Source Tree, waiting for Source Tree to launch. Source Tree. Okay. Somehow the application is right now crashing in my machine. No, it came. Okay. So some setting related stuff here and there. Now, just see here. Okay. I click this is a source tree. Basically, now it is trying to clone what it is trying to clone, this URL. Okay. Career transformation / my first application. And it is specifying in your local machine where you have to check it out. Now, I will suggest you one thing. Generally, I always prefer to create things in my D drive. I create a workspace folder, and in the workspace folder, I create another folder with the name of the project. Okay. So for example, here what repository? So let's say this. In the workspace folder, I want to create something like this. D drive workspace, then the name of the repository. Okay. And inside this, I want to create another folder. I will explain you what. Just look here. I'll tell you why I'm following this kind of a naming pattern. But the thing is, in some workspace folder in your local machine somewhere, I chose whatever is my repository, I want to work in that repository. Okay. But at the same time, I'm creating another sub repository as part of that, where I want to attach the name of the branch. We'll understand what this branch is. But right now, if I expand this, it says which branch you want to have. It says master, so I will name it something like master. What is branching? What is this master? What is the feature branch? We will come to it, but generally just a folder structure. Why? Because it is easy for me to find it in future, okay, where I am working with what code. Okay, so this is my repository, because you might work with 50 repositories, so you need to be a bit organized and disciplined. So I come here and I say clone. Okay, now you just cloned it. Now with this clone operation, what has happened so far is it's a blank repository. There is nothing, there is no code in that. But with this simple cloning, from this place, the folder came to your local. Now the thing is, in this local folder, you will put your initial project. Now one person is doing that activity. Now generally what people do in companies, they always have some base templates of a project. Okay. Now for example, I downloaded this from internet itself somewhere, a simple Spring Boot application. This is a basic folder structure of that which was created. It is on the Spring Boot related website itself, sample application, first application of Spring Boot, Hello World application of Spring Boot. From there itself, I downloaded. So let's say this is a Maven based project. It has even Gradle dependencies. You can work with whatever. So I'm just taking it, copy it, and now I'm just pasting it. Now just see, the folder was empty earlier. Now I went there. I'm trying to see, we installed this my test application. In that, we created a folder -master. It is an empty folder here. I copied my project template, packaging and files, which I already had somewhere. Generally, people maintain that for initial version. And then I'm replacing all that here. Okay. Nothing but this newly copied files is copied in my local machine, but not yet gone to the server in the cloud. Okay. How do you confirm that? Go back to source tree and you can see those differences here. Now, source tree is a very intelligent tool. It compares the differences. Here you can see, oh, all these files are newly added files. You can click on that. You can check your code. Okay, what was added as part of this? Everything, a base package. And then there are some set of actions. Stage, commit, initial draft of folder, commit, push. When you do the push, देखो so far अभी तक क्या operation किए? We performed this. Okay. Add. Next add was stage. Add you do basically that's stage operation. Okay. Next, we did commit. Next, we did push. When you do this top two, add and commit, basically that keeps the data in your local machine itself. But when you do a push, then the data goes to the remote place. Okay? So this is how it is. When you do an add or a commit, it is in your local machine itself. But when you push it, then it goes to cloud. Then other people can get it. Okay? So now, how does it work? Now just have a look here once. I did all this activity. And now let me go back here. It is saying push. Now where? To the master place. Pushing it. Now the code is going from my local machine, whatever I committed, it's going to the cloud repository, which is maintained centrally. From there, everybody else. Now all the other developers, whatever code they want, now they can pull my code and they will all be getting that in their local machine. Okay. But now there is one thing, if you even go to the browser to check this out. Okay. Initially, there was nothing here. Now I'm clicking the refresh. And you will see all that code available here. Okay. Now, at the same time, this guy is not just going to leave it like this. he will try to make it compilation wise code. So how does he do that? He goes to his Eclipse. He will make it a proper compiling copy. Without that, he is not going to commit it. So he goes here, he says import in your local, it's as a Maven project. So that new folder, whichever is there in the local, okay? So D drive workspace, we added the new project here. He will go here, he says, okay, this is my folder, selects the folder, okay? Selects the POM file, whatever is the name here, I'm choosing the same name just as a differentiator to understand in my IDE, okay? Then I choose this POM file to load, click it here. And just see my test application -master is imported in the system. Okay, it is built also. Now, after importing, Eclipse does his drama. It is even saying, okay, so it is like master copy of so and so folder, and it is all available in your local. These kind of logos even means it is Git synced also. So nothing but yeah, I got the code in my local machine. Okay, and now just see, Eclipse has also created some files here. Basically, these class path and all. I don't want to get in much details, but these are temporary. I can just simply say, ignore these files. One person will do this always, and then this becomes a Git ignore file. Don't get into all this. What is all this Tausief? Fatafat kya kar de rahe? But it's like, okay, temp files. These are ID generated files which we don't want in the central copy. That's where 10 files I'm ignoring and I'm pushing it so that other developers will also not get these things as part of their cloud configuration. Otherwise, my local machine related D drive workspace can go to other people also. My ID settings might go to other guys, which might create more confusion for them. So we are trying to avoid these kind of local setups to go to the central place. Okay. Now the thing is, we'll just conclude on one thing right now in the next just 2-3 minutes, because I think tweaking that also as a demo will open more topics. But we don't have time right now, so I'll just cut it very short. Developers is not going to start coding on the master branch. Right now, you see here, this is called as branch, master. If you click others, there is nothing else because it's an empty repository which we created. Okay, but whenever a feature needs to be created, the feature will always be created on a feature branch. Right now, we committed only the first version. That is where we put something in master. But otherwise, now whoever takes down the code, they will get this common code, which is now visible here, which we committed. But you should not work on the master copy. Master copy is only production like copy. Always, whenever you write a new feature, you write it in the feature branch. How do you write it in the feature branch? You go here, go to the branches section. Okay, click create branch. Next, what branch you want to create? I want to create a feature branch. There are types: bug branch, feature branch, hotfix branch, release branch. For now, let's get into feature branch. We want to develop a feature. From master, we are cutting up a feature branch. Let's say feature 1. Nothing but I told this one example simple. A.Java having M1 method. But you check out that in your local and add, instead of M1 method, add XYZ method there. Now that should be updated only in your local, not to any other person. That is where you cannot work on the master, because you will not be able to put it in master, okay, unless it is properly tested. So that is where we expect you give a feature branch cut karo, you try to stabilize everything there, test everything there. And you can say, I don't want to commit it. I will keep it in master and keep it in my local machine. Guys, in the IT industry, I have seen that people work for 1-2 weeks and their system crashes. Hard disk crashed, and whatever coding they did, which they did not put it in the cloud, is all lost, and they have to redevelop the entire 2 weeks of work. So it is a highly recommended practice. Everyday basis, you keep committing to the repository so that even if your laptop is crashed, your data is not lost. Important tip. And while you do that, you cannot do that on master. You have to do it in feature itself, because it might be sometimes not ready feature also, but you have to keep committing it. but yeah, other developers should not be impacted with your commits. So we work on feature branch. This is the explanation. If somebody asks you during interview, why are you really working on feature? So that's it. From master, create a feature, create a feature. And the developer, okay, now let's say any other developer, he's supposed to work on, let's say, one feature, one person is going to work on this branch. Okay, so I come here, just it is recorded, you can watch it again, you can find it on YouTube. I click on clone, okay, clone in source tree, open source tree. It opens a window. Okay, it is trying to clone. I will again choose my location to be this location. It has read that it is a Git repository. My location will be this location. Okay, but in this location, now I don't want the master branch. I want feature branch. So I'm choosing feature, which is going to give me this file. This file. You need to be clear when you work in the projects. If you accidentally choose the master and commit it in master, your code goes there, everybody will kill you literally. Okay, juniors generally do this kind of blunders. So unnecessary यहाँ का code वहां डाल दिया and फिर project goes through a phase. So you need to know when you work, you need to work on feature, not on the master. And this is how you can change. Okay, I want this feature. And when you are working on feature, to avoid confusion, that is where I said, let's have this name of the feature branch. This becomes your folder. You clone this now. It's important which branch you work. So get it into that understanding while you're working for the projects. Okay? And if you see here, this is a new project which we created just now. I'm trying to import it into IDE. New, let's say, import existing Maven project, browse, G-Drive workspace, the repository name, and then there is feature. So by this way, classification becomes easy. Then go to feature, choose the feature. Okay. Next, whatever is the name of this repo, I'm trying to keep locally the same. I choose my form. I choose on finish. A new feature is coming here. And you will find that whatever code was there in master, that code is available in feature as well. Okay. But that code is now just available here. Now you can make modifications here and commit here, which will not be impacting to the central copy. Okay, in such case, code merge comes in, but I think it's too much of dosage on the same day. I think we should stop here. Otherwise, it will be like going more bounce. Okay, now, whatever you understood, just put what is running in your mind right now after looking at this. Just try to put something in one statement in comment. In looking at this, what is running in your mind right? Okay, anybody? Because this is going to be the day-to-day activity in the projects. You have to work with branches. Yeah, everybody. Just see whatever is running in your mind. Collaboration is also important. Git to code differentiate, that is already happening in source tree. When you raise a pull request, which was the later topic, as part of that also code differentiation is going to be discussed. Okay, okay. Okay, we cannot work without internship. Somebody saying we cannot work without Git. Some kind of repository has to be there. It is mandatory. Okay. Chalo. Okay, fine. Let's just close it here. There are more topics. We are getting into it's the last day. Just the last thing is here, guys. Branch mein kaam ho gaya. The next actions will be You commit these code changes into your local. Okay, you test everything there. After that, you merge this code into the central repository using the pull request feature, which is mentioned. In that pull request, there will be a branch comparison. What is your change versus what is the change of the master? Reviewer is going to merge that, then the code goes there, and as a result of that, it becomes available in central, and everybody else works on top of it. Now, there are some more things like how the QA environment testing happens, how the UAT, from which branch QA, which branch UAT, which branch goes to production. Now it gets into much more complexity. Okay? However, we will be discussing all these things in detail while we are starting the 4th September related internship and the project related batches. Okay?